nothing else to discuss, I have a motion to adjourn. Just kidding.
So.
All right. We have, here's on the agenda today, we have discussion of water rates. Number 2, water requests. Jackie Nickett's gonna handle that. And downtown discussions, dumpsters, parking and signage, and our vision. Anything else to add? With that said, Josh, if you'll take us away with the discussion of water rates.
Yeah, I believe this was a council requested discussion, so Jeff and Jackie are here to answer any questions or guidance to council as this is navigated, so they're here in a support role, but this would be a council discussion.
All right. We had talked about this at our last meeting.
What was our issue? Why did we?
What was the issue?
Well, it was a lot of information shared,
Okay.
and if you had any questions, this is the time that we have staff that can just go into it. When would the rates be changed? Would that be July 1st? Would that be?
July 1.
You would adopt the fee schedule, which would have the new rates.
Yeah. And I mean, you went through all of that. Where can anybody see it now? The proposal. What's the best place to see it?
Like anybody, like the public, or you guys?
Us guys first. Us.
We could make you a little one-page summary if that would be helpful. I mean, most of what you've been presented is that residential, that 3/4 residential tier, because that's 96% of everybody. So if you'd like to see a one-pager of what that
would be perfect.
I think it would be great if you could get the commercial and the industrial rate also, so we can see that biggest piece of information that I think you shared with us. And I've thought this since I've been elected 8 years now. We have not had a water increase. We did have a volume add, but it's 2%, and that's
very small.
not 2% of the total rate. That's just the
Correct.
starting point. So in 8 years, our water rate's been almost flat. Stormwater, we did have a stormwater increase right off the bat in 2018. And
Sewer was 2017.
before, so in 8 years, basically nothing.
That's pretty good.
We know we've got water supply issues to build out somewhere, and we know the sewer issue, we know it well. So I personally, I'd like to see it all.
Yeah.
I don't know where this
And then also you're breaking it up, instead of being 6,000 minimum, you're breaking it down to 3,000, 6, or how's
Yeah,
that?
so that was one of the struggles with our existing, tier 1 was 0 to 6,000, and 85% of our residential customers were in that tier. So when you need to make a rate adjustment, you're affecting 85% of the customers. So by removing that down to 3,000, now 50% are protected in that lower tier.
Right.
Which, based on the numbers, those first couple years, their bill with the base rate adjustment will actually decrease based on the same volumetric calculation. Mm-hmm. Now, eventually, in the later years of the 5-year plan, it will creep back up. But so you've been able to protect still 50% of those residential customers, and then the other big adjustment was that industrial rate to make them sort of pay for the cost of service for those customers.
Obviously, they're a small part right now. They won't be in 2 or 3 years.
That is correct.
So
It's getting bigger and bigger.
We're moving it from the residential pocketbook to the industrial. Yeah.
They'll show up.
Is the conversation with Harrisburg any part of this?
Not really. We have a contract with Harrisburg that we'll actually be bringing to you. Last year we did a 1-year renewal to allow us more time to have some more discussions. We'll be bringing a new contract to you probably April-ish, I would guess. I think the idea is we'll have a 5-year term to lay out what that demand is. We have a rate escalator, so they pay an operation and maintenance rate. So we take the cost of water purchase and making it ourselves, what it costs us to move that water through our system to physically get it to them. So it's this sort of unique calculation that is very unique to getting the water to where we're actually selling it.
Okay.
Jeff, I just want a question for clarification. When we talk into your house. And then when I think sewer, I think of a rate going out of your house. So are we talking about a rate, two different rates, a water increase for the price of water we use, and then a increase in the, to get rid of that water? Is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about two rates? We're talking about one rate?
So they are
That
two.
combines, you know, that for all in and out?
Sure, so you're exactly right there. The water rates you pay is the potable treated water coming into your house. And then the sewer rate is basically the transmission and the treatment cost to treat that waste. Now, obviously with the Water and Sewer Authority, we don't treat it, we pay them to do it, and we get a bill every month for that. So, those two things are completely separate revenue funds that pay for two separate systems, two separate operations. You know, wastewater is a little different in the way that system develops. Most of that is developer-installed infrastructure. There's some minimum pipe sizing, which really protects the need to go back and upsize lines like we do in water all the time. So what you see on the wastewater side and why we have been able to go since 2017 without any rate increase is there's just not a lot of capital expenses in the sewer department. Now what we're seeing in a lot of these rate increases are based on debt service that WASAC is passing on. So those are driven by sort of this new era we're in of investment in capacity construction. And, you know, they have no choice but to pass their costs on to their customers, the four that they have, and then we obviously are in the business of running that system. We have to pass those costs on to the ratepayers in some way.
So we are currently talking about a rate increase in both directions, water and the sewer.
That is correct.
Okay.
For really two very different reasons. They're completely different rate models, if you will, because they have completely different inputs of what the costs are and what the operating conditions are, but that is correct.
Okay. And changing the limits from 3,500 to 6,000.
No. We were at 6,000.
And you're gonna go down?
Now, start
Right.
with a second tier.
Okay.
One at 3, is it 3?
0 to 3.
Yeah, and 3 to 6, and then above, whatever
Okay.
it is.
Right.
And did you ask if you could share the number of folks that would be impacted in that 0 to 3,000?
He just
Yeah,
did.
we can. It's 50%
I
of
thought
all
that's
the
what you asked.
residential customers are still in that 0 to 3.
Okay.
And there's
50%.
40,000 residential, 39, something.
Yeah, low 40s, probably 42, 43,000.
85% were already in the six, so you got
That's
50%
correct.
of 85%.
That's correct.
Get that detailed on, but that's
That's
what
correct.
we're doing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And to kind of pile on here, there's a lot of talk about taking away our ability to have connection fees for water and sewer, which is very short-sighted. All that's going to do is raise the rate because now we have no way to pay for the infrastructure on new homes and new commercial and new industrial.
Yep.
So to do that, it's just moving it from the cost of the house to the cost of their water and sewer immediately.
Taking it from the developer to the consumer.
I think that's probably who's pushing that.
This is a long way to go, in my opinion.
Do we have the rate percentage? The percentage increase, the rate? 2%, 3%, did y'all say?
So we can give you that percentage.
I think the sheet
That's what
he's
he's
going to
He's
give
gonna
us.
give us
Yeah,
that's my
we'll give
question,
you all
if
that.
that's
I
coming.
will say that
That's
we
perfect.
tend to not like to focus on percent because percent really a lot of times does not tell the whole story. If you, especially when you're comparing to other jurisdictions, you know, depending on when you make those capital investments, kind of times when these rate increases happen. So like sewer, for instance, it's likely going to look like a very large percentage increase, but in reality, what we're doing is we're having to cover a fixed cost that is then being divided up. So it's always good to, you know, we may do a 2, somebody else may do a 3, somebody else may do a 10, and those look very different on paper, but in reality, those investments could have been very, very similar. So that's my only caution with percentages, but we can get you that, just because that's usually the rate increase talking point, but we like to focus more on what the new rate is and why it's moving at all, let alone what the percentage is, but we can easily do that.
Perfect, thank you.
How many irrigation accounts do we have? Roughly.
It's I mean, maybe a couple thousand at the most. It's
clarification for Jeff and his team. So typically, as part of the annual budget process, we will provide council with a schedule of fees, a red line schedule of fees, that will include any fees that are changing, proposed to be changing, for the upcoming year. Did you want Jeff's team to provide a separate document prior to
Yes.
that? Okay,
And the reason being because we haven't had the rate increases.
okay,
This is something.
Just a little cheat sheet that explains briefly what we're doing and
Sure.
what it is. Yeah.
That's a static document.
yep.
Yeah, I think it'll reduce our discussions that we have to have as we move forward.
That's good.
I appreciate that.
Happy to do it.
Very much so, thank you.
Layman's term.
Anything else on this? We do appreciate you filling in the blanks for us. Okay, Jackie, water requests. Do you have a water request for us?
We have a request for.
You probably need to come up to make sure this is on the, so we can record it.
Absolutely.
If you'll come to.
While she's walking up, we'll make a comment. I watched all 6 hours of y'all, the planning retreat that I missed a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
A lot of the discussion, microphones weren't on, and you're watching, you totally lost. So there was quite a bit of discussion. I'm sure it's tough on Kim also, but there was a lot. Obviously, we don't have mics here, and I'm bad for it for not keying, but people watching from home, there's no way to follow our meetings, so, sorry.
Thank you. And I can give you a visual if you need it, but we've received an application for water at 10647 Stonewall Road in Huntersville. This is a 1-acre parcel within the Cabarrus County jurisdiction, and it's zoned LDR. This is an urgent request. It's a family that has, their well is failing. So we've tried to follow up to see, what the status is. This came in about the time of our last council meeting. So Jeff and I wanted to check and see if you had some concerns with serving them with water.
How close are they to our water line?
It is right on their street. Sewer is not available to this parcel.
And it is in Concord.
It's within our jurisdiction, correct? Yes, yes, that's right.
It is in the unincorporated
Right,
area of
right,
the county.
correct.
It just has a Huntersville address.
There's a lot of strange
Yeah.
addresses up there.
So,
Black Bay or Country Base type of things.
So this is really not out of the ordinary for us.
No, this is not,
It is time sensitive.
So
correct.
do you need a vote today, or how do you want to handle it?
I haven't been able to confirm with her whether she's spent money to fix the well or if she's still without water. If we get in contact with her, we can expedite this tap install. If you'd like for me to bring it in March, we can do that, or if you'd like to vote today.
And if you need it during the work session, if that's the kind of speaking.
Sure. Okay. I think that gets us what we need. Thank you.
So if they come back and it is urgent, we are moving forward or we are not?
so we didn't want to vote today. We wanted to see if council had any issues with the request. We can expedite getting them service and then have it be ratified at the meeting in March if that is. So there is a process that we've done that before.
We're not gonna let it run dry. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm good.
Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jeff. That was good. Very good.
If you had a full day.
Thank you, Jackie. All right, downtown discussion. I'll pass it back to Josh.
All right, it's going to be the Steve show for the next little bit. So he's got 3 separate presentations, the first of which will be related to a dumpster downtown. Council may remember that Steve brought this, an item similar to this to council a few months back. And he has had some conversations and explored a potential alternative plan that he wanted to bring before council for consideration. So I'll turn it over to Steve.
Good morning. So all the downtown discussions, we've got some updates, we've got some vision where things are going, but we also have a lot of questions for you throughout. So it's intended to be collaborative and for you to give some directions. This is, as Josh said, the dumpster is about 9 months ago. We brought an option to you. You passed at the time. It was a partnership with Justin Mueller, who owns the Morris Building. You know, it's where Cheros is going, and the residential units are complete there. So at the time, and I'm just gonna share this up. At the time, the deal was Justin would acquire the city's parcel that's in red for $7,500. And the city bought that, and I've got the future slides, in 1966. And it has numerous electrical underground service lines crossing it. So for anybody to do anything on a hot dog stand, it would be extremely difficult and extremely expensive. So that's the parcel that we brought to you, and that's still in play. This is the survey, David Medlin from the city surveyed it. And this is the picture of it. It's unimproved, it's been like that as long as I can remember. And yes, that is Justin's dumpster that's still sitting over there. That's not by accident yet, we're just seeing how things play out. And here's just a little base information. Now, this top line actually would change now. Morris Building was the LLC that owns the building. Justin is now closed on 42 Union Street, so it would be Union Street Investments that would be making the offer now. But it is 1,400 square foot, $7,500. And if we sold that to Justin, he would construct dumpster behind the Morris Building and offer it to everybody along Market Street to join him and to pay their fair share. So the objective from the city would, if we sold it, we get a little cash, we're not having to manage that little piece of property anymore. Justin would build a dumpster, and then he would offer it to everybody else. Robin told me this morning there's 30 recycle and garbage containers total. So there's, I think, 14 garbage, 16 recycle along Market Street. That doesn't count any dumpsters. So it's an opportunity to address trash, and there's never an easy solution for trash. So the tax value of the parcel is $33,500. Like I said, I can't imagine, other than a mobile hot dog stand, I can't imagine anything be used there with those underground utilities. And this is the property, the one in yellow, and then across the street in yellow is where we had a dumpster. And remember, we had that for years, and the city built the enclosure, and the city did not manage it. The owners of the bistro and that building managed it, and they collaborated with the businesses, and it worked very well. And we just took care of the enclosure. But we had a lease with CESI that we could not continue anymore because some future thoughts that they have on their project, on their site. So that has gone away. So the red hatched area is an alternative that we want to throw out to you. Whenever LMG built Novi Rise, that area in red was reinforced with concrete, and it was going, because remember when these plans were done, we leased that area, so a truck had to get in. Well, now, that's a CSI's dumpster in yellow. So the thought is, what if you weren't interested in selling that little parcel, Justin, what about a partnership through an encroachment in the red area, and then he would build a dumpster there, dumpster enclosure, and work with everybody. So we would still retain our parcel. And these are...
Can I ask you a question back on?
Sure.
First, go back.
Okay.
The 0605.
Yes, sir.
That has been used as parking.
As long as I can remember.
As long as I can.
Yes, sir.
Probably six cars in there, is that right?
About 4 or 5. Yeah, about 4 or 5. Yeah. And I'll back up. What Justin, let's see, can you see that? No, you can't see my cursor. But so if we sold that parcel to Justin, his dumpster would go behind Moore's building, and the spaces they're taking up behind Moore's building, he would then use our lot, our former lot, if we sold it to him, for parking for his tenants. So he's got to have a dumpster somewhere. And at the end of the day, you say, we're just not interested in participating. He's still got to put a dumpster for his building. So he knows that. It's just a question is there an opportunity to partner with him to try to clean that street up with trash. So this is another view from that red one. And I will say, if you're not interested in a dumpster going this location, the thought is to turn that back into parking, because parking is too valuable. So if you said, no, we don't want a dumpster there neither, we don't want to do either one with Justin, then we would just turn that back into parking. And, two, maybe three, two. I'd say two, but it could be, because the angle right there, it's not super efficient, probably two. So that's the general question. One, are you interested in a partnership with Justin where he would then manage the participations, excuse me? It would be designed the same as what was stated above. We haven't spent any design time. Kaylee could certainly work on that, but we just didn't want to dedicate any time, till we talk to you, just to see if it's interesting. You can say, well, let's explore the red area. We're not interested in selling our strip, explore the red area, and Kaylee can do some design, and we can refine with Justin on the space and bring that back to you at a formal meeting if you want. Well, it wasn't there, it was in the yellow area, yeah, the entrance, yes, sir, yep.
So Steve, I have a question, would the yellow still exist? Like, does Ceci still have dumpsters there, and if so, how does putting a dumpster in the red impact Ceci?
So Ceci can either participate, or Ceci can access their dumpster from their parking lot.
Justin's property is only gonna be parking if we sell it,
Correct. Correct.
for his tenants only.
Yes, sir. Well, tenants and he's probably got some spaces for the, restaurateurs, to park. But all for his building. It's an opportunity, that we want to throw out. The hardest thing to solve in downtown, frankly, is trash. And there's never an easy solution. And it's not just with us, it's with every urban city.
Personally, I'm in favor of the space next to the old CSI. And leaving the spaces downtown park. And that's just my thoughts.
If anybody cares about my thought.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of selling the 0605 right now for the same reason I wasn't before. I think we need to see what's going to happen with downtown and the boom that I'm expecting. I think that we may need that space for parking, bike racks, whatever. I think it's more valuable to us right now to hold on to it. As far as the red area, I have two thoughts about that. If we had a nice design that hid the trash, if that's possible, I maybe would be a fan of that. I surely do not want the first thing that anyone sees, or the last thing anyone sees, or that anyone sees at all on our beautiful new street is a big old overflowing trash dumpster. If it could be hidden in disguised some way, camouflaged, whatever, okay, yeah, I might be a fan of that. I would really welcome an option 3.
And what's option 3?
We don't have one.
Well, I'm looking at doors on what they would have. I'm sure, it'd be like any other place. We have to have a dumpster, but we need to shield it, and that's the best way is with
Some type of camouflage, right. And so I maybe would be open to that. Would that space allow a dumpster truck to get there? I'm assuming the dumpster truck would have to load it like mine at my office is from the front and they throw it over the back. Would they have access to turn well enough there to empty their dumpsters?
We think so because you've got the whole road where you can pivot in.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We think so. The city, Robin told me the city uses the small truck. It's a rear load, specialized in downtown. That's what the city uses now. And if Justin could partner with 2 or 3, like say 66 Union Street, the Cravers, I've spoken with them, would you be interested? They said yes. So if you can remove a dumpster behind them, and then just remove half of those rollout cans that are on that street through a partnership, it cleans that whole street up. And the beauty is, the city's not doing it, because we decide, many councils ago decided you didn't want to be in that dumpster management business anymore. So it's a way to help, but us not do it.
Steve, you're the planning department. What is our best option? We have to make the decision. Are you giving us your preference?
No, sir, I think both could work. I think there's two choices, either the 0605, the red area, or just say, appreciate the idea, but we're just gonna pass now. So I think those are the three. We don't have a third option. We've scratched our head on that one. And if you look up and down the street, with the ownership and the parcels,
So doing nothing is not an option.
well, sure, but doing nothing is an option. But what we have is what we have, and there won't be an opportunity.
If we did nothing, the cans would still be rolled out.
Cans are still rolling out, there'll still be dumpsters.
In my opinion, I've seen them, they're overflowing, they look worse for one day than having a hidden dumpster, in my opinion. I think you can hide that dumpster with whatever. I've done it in years, any construction site I've ever had, hit a dumpster, it's not hard to do. It's very easy to do.
You can be creative, like you're working on the art on the fence.
Put art on the fence.
Yeah, you can snazz it up a little bit, dress it up.
If it just was a white gate, white picket fence looking gate would be
Yeah.
in keeping with, so I think I feel like that's a good option.
I made one comment, policing that dumpster, who's going to do that?
That's Justin.
Justin.
He's
When I throw my
He's trash, so, yeah, yes.
So is council want Steve's group to do a design on that spot? I think we're all in.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Back to us and we'll go from there.
Yeah, we should both come back to you in April with a design and a meeting, and then you can fully evaluate it and vote.
Back quick, we beat this dump to death.
Yeah,
Yeah, we really are eager to get our trash taken care of.
yeah,
So
that's,
we can count that.
okay. That's great.
Did you get that all right? Okay. Anything else on this?
All right. Parking and signage.
Okay, so I will want to point out, I've got a whole second row where I got, as we go forward, where I've got lifelines here, and hopefully I've got unlimited calls. So with the parking enforcement and the signage, we'll go over, as you know, Donnie Hartzell was the downtown officer for a long period of time. He retired effective January 1st. The interim plan that Chief Hughes has developed in partnership with us and Page and downtown is fill in the interim, and that's being handled by the downtown police officer and then code enforcement staff. So just to remind, before the project, Spring Street, McEachern, there were no time limits, and that has always been done to encourage, if you want to park longer, you can park further out, you walk a little further. Closer you come to Union Street, the shorter the time is, because it's the most valuable spaces. Then Union Street, Market, and Barbrick were 2 hour, Bicentennial, Parking Deck were 3 hours, then of course the county is unlimited, except for the Novi spaces. And then the city leases, which is a great deal, $15 a month, $180 a year. You can park floors 2 through 4. And remember, we do not reserve a space, because if we did that, it would be way more expensive. You have an opportunity to park, not a reserved space. But most of those are taken during the day. So these are some of the recommendations going forward, some base information. So the city's deck, the occupancy, level one is the ground and then the ramp going up, so it's 1 and 1.5. It's about 50% usage, and this is over all of 2024. And we do counts. We've been doing counts for two years now. So we did all through the construction, and then we're evaluating going forward. County's deck runs about 48%, and overall, between the two decks, it's around 48% occupancy, which is good, because there's still a lot of capacity. So in the city's deck, levels 2 through 4, it's about 76% occupied, and that is all of 24. That's an overall average. And of course, that ebbs and flows. If police have a big training, it's tight. You know, if there's extra cars parked there, it's tight. If, depending on time of year, there's more space than that. So these are the overall spaces in downtown, the unreserved, the ADA, other, and the total. So the number to the right, the 2679, that's the magic number. That's how many parking spaces there are in downtown. So we're blessed with that. And we know parking always works in zones. Because if you're interested, if somebody's coming downtown, they want to park the closest they can where they're going. And then that's that zone. So that's the way we've done with the city deck, the county deck, and the county parking on Church Street for years. And the chart underneath just breaks out the counts per each space for the public availability for the 1,147 spaces. So a lot of people think about just the decks, but there's more.
Bicentennial does not count the reserved
No, sir, we do not have any more reserve. Yes, sir. Yep, we did, and that's a good memory. And that was with a deal when the city acquired some property, but that property has since been sold, so the reserve has gone away, which is good. Yes, sir. Yes. Yep.
So the other reserve sign, somebody else owns that piece of.
Yes, correct. Yep. So the deal was with that current owner. When that current owner sold and the property transferred, the deal went away, which is good. So there's no reserve spaces in Bicentennial. So the interim strategy, if you concur, is to leave the position vacant for now. Continue with the downtown officer and code enforcement. Maintain the time limits that we had before, and then conduct a parking study. The last one that we did was in 2021. Remember, that was COVID. We were coming out of COVID, so we did the best we can, and it was a good study, but it was still COVID, and everything was different then, or just coming out. So Kaylee's got cost estimates. We budgeted $60,000 in the current budget, and then the parking study analyzes everything. The existing uses, the occupancies, the future projects. They take into account not only what's been built, but the future. And also, it would look at time restrictions, transit usage, opportunities, public-private, and many times opportunities exist in the private lots because if you're going back once, there's 900 private spaces. So those are opportunities beyond the city. It's not all city and county. There's opportunities there. And then utilizing technology and looking at cost, charges, and efficiencies.
You have that budgeted in this budget?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We sure do.
Next fiscal
Yeah.
year.
Next fiscal year.
FY26.
Yes, yes, sir. So the plan would be to start that in July. So by the time they're engaged, you're probably late August, early September. But we want that because we want the Novi units to fill up, and you want the downtown commercial that's in process to come live, so that they're taking counts and analyzing based on the full build out. So the timing could work very well. And one of the things that we're very interested in, that we've talked internally, especially with Chief Hughes, is utilizing technology so we stay out of the parking the parking enforcement business and utilize technology to the greatest extent possible. So he doesn't have an officer dedicated to that and utilize technology. So that is something that we're very interested in. And you see parking options to his floor, and I don't want people to get, I want anybody in the audience to think, we're talking about when it says followed by hourly fees, we can structure it however you want. We want the parking study to look at, should we be charging? Should we maintain where we are? Which is, if you think about it, if you park in the city's deck and you park there for 2 hours, well, the ticket's $10. So first 2 hours are free, and after that, you're paying $10. So what if there was a gate going in, first 2 hours are still free, nothing changes, but then after that, you wanna stay longer, well, maybe it's $5 an hour or $10 an hour, and then you pay on your way out. Utilize technology instead of that enforcement officer. So signs, we know signs has been a big topic. So what we've done is we've looked back at 2016, from 2016 forward, and the code officers have quietly gone out early in the mornings and have assessed the existing signage in downtown. And it's the whole gamut. And a big shout out to them, because we had the idea that we were going to do that. We realized quickly we would have been overwhelmed. So Chief Hughes allowed the code officers to do that base data for us. So we've done that, and then any vacant buildings now, when they come in for a sign permit, we want to make sure that's right. And then the goal is that Paige and Cherie, myself, who all of us as a team, but especially those two, the signs that are in violation, we'll go and speak with them and say, hey, here's what the ordinance, you either didn't have a permit, it's too large, here's what you have. And by the way, right now, because we have the facade grants, we can offer them a carrot. So we're not coming with sticks. The thought was, instead of having code enforcement go out right out on the heels of the streetscape and make everybody real mad, that Paige and Cherie would go to Kindler, Gentler and say, we're trying to get everybody back best we can on a level playing field.
Can you give me an illustration of a violation?
Do what?
An illustration of a violation?
Well, probably one of the easiest or most visible is your window signs. We increased the window signage to 20% a couple of years ago. Some have considerably more, 50% or 60%. So, but they may not be utilizing their wall signage. And that's the other opportunity when Paige and Cherie meet with them, say, look, your window signage is too great, you're in violation here, but you haven't taken the availability of other signage. And by the way, we'll pay half of it, through the facade grant. And try to work toward compliance by the end of April. That's our goal. At the end of that period, the ones that don't participate, don't want to, or just say we're not going to, that's when we'll turn over code enforcement and we'll go to traditional route. But trying to get downtown back, and at the same time, is not on this slide, but we're looking again at our ordinance, taking another look, because it's been a couple of years since you increased, to see if we need to tweak it, if we need to loosen up anywhere also. Especially with some of these larger buildings like the Novies, because our signage is fairly tight, got a 6-story building, that's a good example. So we're taking another internal look at the same time just to make sure that we feel good where we are. But that's kind of the philosophy that we've got with the signs. Yes, sir.
With parking, does council have questions, thoughts, comments?
Well, I do, of course. One of the things and you went through those kind of quickly. Did I see that we have almost 3,000 spaces downtown?
Yes, ma'am. It's 26, almost 2,700 counting the private.
Okay, well, that's great. That's a heck of a lot more than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of question, why would we spend $60,000 on a parking study? One, I'd really like to see traffic and parking become a real problem before we spend that kind of money, because we have so many people downtown. And why didn't Novi consider their parking considerations before they invested all this money into downtown?
Well, they did. Yeah, that was a lot of collaboration, and it came down to the financial feasibility of the projects and also capacities within the city's decks and on the street. One of the things that we talk about internally, especially with decks, is you just don't want them used during the day. You want them right-sized so that they're used day and night. That's an ideal situation. And you want that turnover, and you want daytime and nighttime. So that's where the Novi, the availability, especially at night, the city's deck's not in play, but we know at night, some of them are gonna park there, and there's tremendous capacity. But in the county's deck, it is where it is. And the parking study, and that's a really good question. The parking study, it takes a long time to address parking. So by the time you have a problem, you've got a problem. And it takes a long time to get out of it. And there's opportunities, especially along Church Street too, where we need to be thinking in the future how parking works there, public-private partnerships, partnership with the county, those type, as we have more investment, especially in that Church Street area. But the parking study can tell us the right technology we should be thinking about, the right hours, the amounts, if there's any charges. It just takes a fresh look, and parking is such a science. We've learned quite a bit, but we're not the experts. And then also, when they come to interview all your major stakeholders, like the court system in particular. So the court system, we learned in 2021, their numbers were going up. Of course, they built a new courthouse to serve, but also the number of the teams type meetings, with planes and things like that, they're going more remote. So that was very interesting, because learning how those trends are going, and visitations, if somebody is locked up in a jail, many times they're not coming to downtown anymore, it's virtual. So, but learning all that type of information, because it translates into how many parking spaces you need and where do you need them.
I just would have thought that would have been done as part of the streetscape plan, knowing how we were changing the street and what the implications for parking would have been as part of that process.
Yeah, it actually was. Yeah. Yeah.
To go back to LG, what they did, they went with the county and got 300 spaces during the nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And they also built, how many next door? How many?
There's about 80 under rise, and there's a handful under lofts.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
between the 300 and almost 400 spaces for their 304 units.
For their residents.
So
Yeah.
yes, they did a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah, and
I would think that
we used a parking study, helped us with the streetscape, because we lost 40 spaces. So not only did we ask the public, are you willing to lose them, but we knew from the parking study, losing them would not impact this next round of construction. Because the worst thing we could have done is work a deal with Novi and everything else. Then we're like, we don't have enough parking, what do we do? So that's where the parking study gave us confidence in removing those 40.
I'm in favor of the master study. It seems to me when I come downtown, it's a hodgepodge. You may be able to park here. Ooh, I know there's a special space over here. I know, but to have a consistency in signage and enforcement, I think we should go to some kind of fees for this. So I think a master study would be absolutely appropriate.
Not to pile on that, but to agree with you on that. I think the master study provides, when all the restaurants are here, that's gonna be hopefully a lot of
Yep.
seats in those restaurants
Right.
count as cars, not everybody in down. Will that be included in the?
Oh, yes, sir.
See, that's gonna be critical.
Yeah.
That's what we don't understand. You can't get a parking place in Annapolis. Good
Mhm.
luck.
for $9 you can.
Well,
Yeah.
And there's too much activity at night and not enough parking. So I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, and what the parking study will do, it'll look at all the occupancies at the time of the study. But it also looks at all the vacancies. So as there's more investment and those vacancies get filled, how, do we still have enough parking? If not, what do we do? Where do we go?
Depends on how downtown is evolved.
Yeah.
We're about to talk about it, vision.
Yep,
If it's
yep,
all restaurants, that's a whole different story.
Right.
Boutiques and shops, that's another story.
that's exactly right.
And are you going to,
Steve, could you, just along my 88 to 50 off-street private, give me an example. I'm a little fuzzy on that one.
That's, say an example, the law offices on Church Street where they've got parking behind. By code, they have to have a certain number of ADA for their
Okay, I
square
got you.
footage.
Okay,
Yeah,
that belongs,
Yep.
well, not belongs to, but that's kind of assigned to that business.
Correct.
Okay.
correct.
Because that's, we all get a lot of calls. The biggest call I get is the ADA.
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
yeah.
when we're talking about parking
Right.
downtown, it's not so much not having enough, it's not having enough of that type.
Right.
So that's what I want to clear up.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where the streetscape, now we have them on Barbarick, right off Union, and on Union up in front of the hotel. And that was one of the first comments we heard with the streetscape, with the plans. And we were talking about the private, the only person that I know that is really utilizing the private is Justin. He has private off beside the Bicentennial, or part of the Bicentennial. He leases those. There's opportunities for the private sector to be leasing spaces that helps the overall parking and helps them financially. And those are things that the parking study looks at. Where is that option?
for example, Central has 80 parking spaces.
Yes, sir.
And I would hope that they would be part of this process.
They
Because
would.
they're just having discussion, do we need to put a gate, do we need to do something? But you don't want everybody to do this individually.
Right.
You want to do this together. And so I would,
Yeah, that's a great example. There's 80, other than a funeral occasionally, there's 80 parking spaces to be had there. How can the church monetize that to help downtown, but also help the church financially?
absolutely.
Yep.
The key to that study would be being inclusive, for lack of better words, pulling everybody in, not just a city study, but a study of.
Oh, for sure.
Of course, the businesses and,
Yep.
Even,
Yeah, St. James would be in that same
Yes, sir.
spot.
Yep.
So you have, it sounds to me like nobody wants to spend the money, but we need to spend it. To do
I
the
think
study.
so.
As we go forward.
I think it'll be money well spent in the end. And then signage, we'll certainly continue to work with Josh and Lloyd, and he can give periodic updates how it's going. If it starts going bad, you'll know it. Because they'll all complain to you.
Steve, might I add one thing about that signage? With some of the vacant buildings that we have downtown,
Mhm.
Lafredo's comes to mind.
Yep.
Could we ask as part of that sign ordinance that when these buildings become vacant, the sign is either taken down and the windows cleaned up? It's kind of,
Yeah.
offensive is the word that comes to mind.
Yeah.
To see these buildings with old signage on them, it's kind of getting dilapidated.
Right.
Could that be part of that sign ordinance? Can
It-
we add that you have 10, 20 days, 30 days to get
We could.
that
we
sign
could.
cleared off?
Yeah, and that's something too, like Paige knows the ones the buyers that are under contract, and then start talking to them now, say, hey, when you close, if you could, can you get the signs, get the signs down, so we could do two
Jack, you
ways.
got 30 days to get it cleaned off.
We
Yeah.
have to be very careful with that because there cannot be a regulation with
Right.
regard to signs that depends upon you reading the sign. So if you have to read the sign to know whether it's in violation or not, we're not allowed to do that.
So like using Lafredo's as an example.
Exactly.
You have to look at Lafredo's and it still says Lafredo's, but there's no one in there.
But you can't, there's Supreme Court case law that says you
That's why our sign ordinance is by sign type. So if you look at the sign ordinance, we talk about yard signs, so those, like a real estate sign or whatever. We talk about signs that hang off the building this way. We talk about wall signs. We talk about A-frame signs, but we don't talk about what the sign says.
Yeah, no, I don't
Anywhere
care
in
what it says necessarily, I'm just saying like Lafredo's is out of business.
So
There's no one there, so couldn't
we
the
might
window
be
be
able to
cleaned back up?
figure out some way of saying sign, I don't know, I'd have to really think about that, because no matter what, you're still gonna have to read the sign to know whether it's a valid sign or not.
But can we have it so they at least clean the windows? And they're always, so it doesn't look like it's.
Looks like Lafredo's is still there until you look in the window and then you see there's
Well,
no
but
Like
window.
wash it with,
Well, I'm just saying, right now, we cannot ask that sign to be removed, correct?
as far as I know, no.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking, is
Yeah.
can the sign be
That's not gonna
removed?
be done.
I think that's really gonna take you into unconstitutional waters.
Is it, okay. If it is, you're the expert on that.
I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
it came as quite the surprise when the case came down. We were in the middle of revising the sign ordinance at that time, and it just threw all of our efforts out the window.
Yeah.
Like, all right, great, let's start over again from scratch.
Yeah, because I mean, that sign could sit there for 10 years,
Yeah,
20 years.
yeah, it could. And then you gotta think about whether it's gonna impact what you're writing has unintended consequences. Is it gonna impact your ghost signs, the Coca-Cola mural, things like that? So you have to be thoughtful about these things.
But we can certainly ask new buyers,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly
there's
ask.
never any harm in asking nicely.
Yeah. Is that your job? We get to let you do that.
Sometimes.
Any more questions on signs? All right, thank you.
Sign ordinance is great.
Vision.
So this one, we're going to tag team Paige, Kaylee, and I on this one. This is the main event here.
Good morning, everyone. Let's talk a little bit more about downtown, get our fill. Kind of wanted to take us a little bit back to the master plan. So just wanted to highlight a few of the 5 major themes that were identified back when the master plan was done. So you may remember, or you may have looked at it since being on board, that the master plan was facilitated in 2016. These 5 themes came out of that, and then were continued as everyone looked at the master plan and said, yes, these 5 themes still exist and are still relevant as the master plan was updated in 2021. So as we move through this presentation, you'll see that, and things we've already talked about already, fit into these 5 buckets. So that's something that hasn't quite changed, even though it's been a little bit since that master plan was completed. So move and park, provide accessibility to all modes of travel, clear wayfinding, and efficient, well-managed parking systems. So we're talking about that. Live and work, attract new housing and employment opportunities. We've done a great job attracting that new housing. So you'll see us talk about working to fill that and working to maximize that. Play and stay, attract new visitors, develop entertainment destinations, become everyone's second neighborhood. So beyond just the folks who already live in the downtown area. Show and tell downtown Concord's story well, show off the changes in downtown, deliver a great downtown experience. And policy and program, enable the downtown vision through the strategic framework, and of course looking at things like code and sign ordinances to get what we want out of the vision for downtown. So taking us through a little reminder of the downtown brand. So that's a project that has been worked on over the past couple of years and came to fruition, and you all saw that presentation from Destination by Design. So kind of wanted to just take another look at that, refresh our memories of what that looks like. So in their findings, they found that downtown Concord stands as a living, evolving testament to the union of historic charm, modern amenities, and forward-thinking progress. We cherish our history, celebrate harmony, welcome all to the space where tradition meets innovation, creating an unparalleled experience for residents and visitors alike. So through our efforts, we will highlight these 5 brand pillars history and harmony, arts and culture, community involvement, innovation and progress, and entrepreneurial spirit. Additionally, wanted to just throw up a reminder of those the downtown brand visuals. So you've started seeing these things coming to life, and you'll continue to see these more and more. There's a variety. There's kind of the primary logo and some of those main things you've seen, and then some additional ones that we'll continue to put into the marketing and put into the visuals that you see as we continue to roll out this new brand. So what does the marketing timeline look like? This is something, it's still a little bit fluid and in motion as we work with Destination by Design and they tighten up some of the things that, that we've discussed. But in that first year, that foundation building for this first year of the brand, launching social media and campaign and hashtag campaigns, of course, that's a continuation. It's just evolving into the new brand and then and utilizing some of the new things that have been developed. Develop a monthly content calendar and begin consistent posting. Of course, we already do that, but bringing that new brand into that. Partner with local businesses on cross promotion. Host quarterly. We've actually changed that to every other month. Downtown business meetups. Roll out visually appealing materials and branded templates. Hire a photographer, videographer to create high quality visuals. That's something that we've already done and we're already working with Market Street Studios on that. Promote 2 to 3 major events and with pre-live streams and post-event recaps. We host many more than that, but and Sheree does a great job of getting out and getting those live streams going, so continuing to build on that momentum. Launch initial digital advertising campaigns on social media and Google. That's something that we look forward to tapping into. And partner with local media for targeted advertising. And some of these things will also work with some of our partners like Explore Cabarrus. They do a great job with things like that.
When did or does you want to start?
Now.
Right today.
It's January. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we're working on the downtown website. We've been working on kind of content, working to, now that we're kind of moving out of that construction phase, really taking a look at what that content that we have on the website looks like, and then working with our website provider to update the visuals on the website. As well as branded merchandise. So this is something we've been working with a supplier on branded merchandise, and we'll have a variety of things that will be available for purchase at the grand opening block party in May. What does year 2 look like? And again, some of these things will ebb and flow. They might evolve and change a little bit, but from this is what was presented from Destination by Design, and they're tweaking a little bit. Expand targeted digital ads to attract nearby visitors. So that's in that second year, really looking at getting those people from beyond Concord, beyond our residents, into downtown. Create a then and now video campaign. Increase newsletter frequency and content offerings. Launch 3 to 5 events aligned with Harmony on Union theme. Collaborate with influencers to amplify downtown's visibility. Highlight available business incentives on the website. Offer new business testimonials as part of recruitment campaigns. So really tapping into the people that are here and really tapping into that story for the storytelling purposes. And evaluate media buys for regional campaigns and focus on high traffic seasons. So it's something that we haven't really done in the past couple of years, so excited to explore what that will look like.
Another question.
Yes, sir.
Back with 3 to 5 events. Give us an idea of what's going through your mind.
Sure. Well, we've had some businesses create some of their own events, so we hope to capitalize on that momentum. So you may have heard of the Harmony on Union, where they collaborated together and created a really nice like dinner event, and so things like that. So the collaboration, how can we, and some will be, you know, maybe larger scale events, some maybe a little bit smaller scale. We have a lot of events that we'll go through as well in a few minutes.
I have a question. This may not be the time to bring this up, and it may not even be relevant. You can tell me if it is. Marketing, just use that term. This is to the consumer, right? What about to the business? To bring business to you. Oh, I'm going to open a business. How are you going to tell me to go do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have that in your plan?
That is a little bit, that also hits into some of that, offer new business testimonials, that highlights that story, but also, I think it was on the other slide. Maybe it wasn't.
I
I don't remember no. We'll hit on it a little bit more when we talk about the development, but that does come with recruitment, that comes with updating the website. We do have resources on the website we'll kind of hit on. But there are, we're already doing, Shree's already sprinkling in things like, are you interested in the newsletter and on social media? Our business is interested in coming here, make sure to visit our available properties page. So there is some of that already sprinkled in, and we'll kind of talk through some of the data opportunities in a few minutes, as well as some of the downtown development opportunities. It will be weaved into this marketing a little bit, but it is a little bit more targeted and more specific as well. So it might be some things you see that post or that something like that included in the newsletter, and then maybe it's a little more heavily hit, more targeted, working with specific brokers, things like that. Good question. And then rolling into year 3, really measuring that ROI and engagement KPIs to refine that strategy. So looking at the data, are we getting to the people we want to get to? Are we seeing an increase in visitors from certain zip codes? Are we seeing an increase in people engaging with those ads or with those social media campaigns? Host an annual Downtown Concord Showcase event. They used to do an annual Downtown Concord annual meeting. Introduce advanced digital tools, virtual tours of downtown spaces. So that could be an opportunity where it's a little bit more focused to the business recruitment side. Create comprehensive branded video series. So that's something that we'll take a look at after we get through with these initial videos with Market Street Studios. How can we not just call that one and done and then move along and then 5 years later be like, gosh, we've got all these outdated videos. How can we continue to keep that fresh? Expand partnerships with regional organizations, and that can look like other communities. It can look like visitor centers, local, regional. Evaluate and refresh marketing materials for visuals. Focus on retention strategies for the newsletter subscribers and followers, and enhance media buying strategy. So all those things are kind of in that year 3. So we've kind of touched on branding, and that's a lot of things that we already are working on and things that we'll continue working on. And kind of what does that look like as far as Concord Downtown Development Corporation is concerned, the CDDC as we all know it. So a couple of years ago, before I came on board into this role, the decision was made to become what Main Street calls a quasi-community. So we had CDDC, it was operating as an entity, a nonprofit entity, and now we are city staff, but we still have this board of directors. So what does that look like going forward, and what does their role look like? We do have several new board members who have just come on board, so we're excited to have new businesses represented that are active in the area, property owners. So really kind of looking at what is are we made up of people that are involved and engaged in downtown Concord. Continuing on with committee structure. So the nice thing about a quasi board is the board is still a board as opposed to an advisory committee. So they're still a working board. They're still making decisions, and they're helping us. The master plan, if you look at that, if you look at all this marketing, this is a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff we got to do. So how can we get some help to do that? And that's where CDDC can really come into play. How can we have all of those Harmony on Union type events? How can we have all of the retail focused events? So looking at these committees to help us build those things out and then implement them. So we have 2 committees, the Urban Lifestyle Committee and the Connectivity Committee. And the Urban Lifestyle Committee's goal is to build an urban lifestyle within the historic fabric of downtown Concord. So we've got these a lot of residential properties and new residential units here in addition to the residents that flank either side of downtown. How do we make sure that that's activated? They're getting what they want. They're choosing to live in this urban environment. How can we connect them with either the property management, make sure that they're activated within the events, all of those things to create that symbiotic relationship. And then the Connectivity Committee positioned downtown Concord as a premier destination through unique shopping and dining and entertainment opportunities, signature events. So, where, one committee could be working on some additional opportunities for public art or working with a property owner to activate a space. Another committee could be working on a shopping event that is engaging people to shop at multiple retailers downtown. So really working with those committees to make that happen. A couple other benefits to having that committee, that board, because it's a 501c6, we have the ability to promote individual businesses. We aren't boxed into being just a government entity where you can't do that. So benefits like that. We can also look into, we've talked about adding a 501c3 component, that businesses may be more inclined to sponsor or provide donations to a 501c3 because they get the tax benefit from that. And that could, as we continue to build these things up, what does that funding look like? Does that look like going back to that structure from a few years ago where there were some small grant opportunities for businesses, things like that? Mm-hmm.
Two questions.
Sir.
Your name's not up there. Exactly what is your role with the board and these two?
I'm the liaison between the two.
So you do not work for them?
They cannot hire and fire me.
So if there's a problem in downtown, who is ultimately responsible? This corporation or the city? If there's a disagreement about how we move forward, where does the buck stop in the downtown?
Ultimately, the city. The board is going to act as a supporting board for the city. So they're going to, their role and the goals that they take on, the tasks that they take on are going to align with the master plan, and they're going to align with what you all at the city, our city leaders, have put forth. And then ultimately, their role is going to be a supportive role to the city.
So they're advisory group. You're advisory. They have no funding, no budget.
They do have a budget. They can fundraise. They do, yes. So that's how our downtown dollars are facilitated, because those are an interesting little coupon that I don't know that the city wants to be tied to. It is a working board, but they cannot hire and fire staff. And they do need to support what the city is doing. They're not getting city funds.
That's what I asked.
Okay, yes.
No MSD funds.
No, yeah,
And no direction of where the MSD funds are being spent.
They're getting funded from the MSD.
so just to offer some clarity, so several years back when we moved to the model that we're currently in.
We moved during COVID.
Correct, yeah.
Whole downtown collapsed.
So all city staff or all CDDC staff at the time, those positions were eliminated. The city then hired staff to perform this function, and all transfers, all governmental transfers from us and Cabarrus County that were going to the nonprofit, those stopped. So the MSD tax dollars are retained by the city. They fund an independent budget unit within the city. It's a component of our planning department. So that downtown fund is where all business activities funnel out of. So when you think of your business or your facade grants or encroachment agreements, the day-to-day business activities for downtown, that all falls on city staff. The CDDC is a separate entity, a separate incorporated entity. So we do not control the board members for the CDDC, but they do work to support us. And we have a memorandum of understanding that was, I think, recently updated a year or so ago that spells out our relationship and how we work together and collaborate on a variety of activities. So yeah, all business-related activities and functions, city only, and the city does not put funding back to the CDDC anymore.
Josh, can you give an example of where they would be funded from then? That kind of pot of money you talked about, like the dollar, like where would that come from?
Sure. So what we would like to put a huge emphasis on is fundraising efforts. So if, let's say we collaborate on an event downtown, maybe we activate Means Plaza, you'll hear about that in a little bit. So the CDDC could be the fundraising arm. So they can go out and get sponsorships, the businesses who may want their name on a banner or may want to sponsor a particular feature or function of that event. So they would go out and try to generate those private dollars to help support or subsidize anything that we are doing and kind of fill that gap. So in the past, pre-COVID, the CDDC did have a pretty robust fundraising component to it, and they were able to raise some money, and we're hoping to leverage that and bring that back with downtown, with the streetscapes being done, and post-COVID, of course. But so that would be their primary.
And that's where you can be a little more creative with, now that you're doing that, you know, is there an opportunity to have a grant for a businesses to apply for a, you know, we've been here for 3 years or 5 years and we need a little refresh, they can, you know, potentially apply for, you know, $1,500 grant or something like that. That would be what I would envision as the goals of creating that. You know, it's another way to support the downtown, but there's no, like Josh said, there's no more of that transfer, where before it was moved from the MSD to CDDC and then they operated those funds. Right now, to answer your question about downtown dollars, people purchase them, so they'll buy them, we put the money in the bank, and then we can.
Kind of like the CDB did when they were doing their tour today or whatever.
Yep, so they purchased them. Yep, the CVB offered to purchase $250 of downtown dollars. We said, awesome, and then we give them the coupons. Those coupons go out into the community, and then the businesses call us when they have money, or when they have coupons, we give them money. So that's all handled through that CDDC fund.
And one more question. Are these committees made up of these board of directors?
The board of directors need to be on a committee. So currently the goal is restructuring these committees. Because we were under construction for the period of time, it was really hard to really activate those committees, and as opposed, you know, other than just supporting downtown and supporting what's going on. So really pulling back the people that were on the committees before, offering them the opportunity to come back, as well as new people.
So it don't have to be just funneled from the board of directors.
Correct.
The
Oh, yes, the committees can be made up of.
Josh, because he is on the board of directors, and then Mark Smith
Right.
can be on there too.
Yes, yes.
What's the total amount of money the special tax district takes in?
We have,
Let me just
I think the projection for the FY '26 budget is 250,000, I believe.
Which is significantly more than.
Sure, oh, yeah. Yeah, so, and of course, if you look at the total value, it's even higher than that, but remember the tax rate was brought down, so reval just happened to align with a lot of the Novi growth. So because of that, and statutorily, we're restricted to the percentage of growth we can count in that 4-year period. We lost a decent amount of that Novi growth. So yeah, if you look at the total property value, it's significantly higher. But yeah, it's 250, I believe, is what we're projecting for the upcoming year.
And that money is designated how? I mean, that's in the budget we approve?
Yeah, so that is the offsetting revenue source in that downtown budget unit to offset the expenses. So salaries, you know, facade grants, and you may remember we talked at length last year during the budget cycle about how the general fund does subsidize a gap there that exists, and there was a lot of discussion when we talked about the tax rate in the MSD, and you know, does that gap inherently close through natural growth over time? But yeah, so there's a small general fund subsidy to that to help balance that. But yeah,
So
that
what's the
MSD money.
future of that? Is that coming down?
Well, no, I would expect the value of the MSD to continue to go up as you continue to have new business development and new growth.
Okay.
Yeah,
The goal would be to close the gap.
yeah, that would be the hope.
But that's not immediate.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, it ebbs and flows depending on, you know, do we add special events in the upcoming budget year? So if we spend additional money that we typically wouldn't spend, you know, maybe council has a desire to add to the amount of money we give out for facade grants in any one given year. That would naturally expand that gap a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to mention real quickly with the CDC, think about the CDC. I mean, it's an arm of the city that enables to do things that the city cannot. And if it's a lifespan, where we're going back with CDC is still an infant. I look at our neighbors across the line in Rock Hill. You've got Rock Hill city staff, but then they have a CDC. They are investors in projects. Their level of sophistication, there's an enormous opportunity. Now, we're light years away, but there's enormous opportunities to use the CDC as a real vehicle in downtown. So I just want to kind of plant that seed for the years going forward.
Is that all volunteers also, or do they have to pay executive director copy?
I would have to research. they may have some paid, and then it may be some, city staff still that reports to the board, but they're paid by the city. But it's just, there's real opportunities to think about how that nonprofit arm in the future could really come into play in downtown in ways that frankly we cannot, as a municipality. So but it's in its infancy now, but the potential's there.
And there have been quite a number of communities who have moved to this structure that are in the Main Street program. Salisbury has a similar structure. Waxhaw has a similar structure. So Belmont. So similar, very similar communities to ours are also within this similar structure. So we have a lot of neighbors to lean on and see how they're kind of doing things as well. So kind of shifting gears a little bit to the development side of things. So I wanted to kind of highlight all of the properties within downtown that have things going on. They maybe are under contract, maybe have vacancy, maybe for sale, a lot of different things. So we're going to kind of go one by one. We're going to skip this one and come back to it. So we'll come back to 22 Union Street North. So as you can see over here, little bubble number 2, 1820 Cabarrus Avenue East. This is where the barbershop was on Cabarrus Avenue. So they have moved to Church Street when that building was sold to new ownership, local ownership. The Craver Properties purchased this building, and they are in the process of getting plans together to upfit this space. There's a tree growing out of the back that they need to get rid of. If you're ever interested, take a look. It's real interesting. Take a little walk through the alleyway to Bicentennial. And they are looking at occupying one side. That's a 2-unit building. They're looking at occupying one side with office space for their offices and then activating the other side for retail. And gosh, we are really looking forward to that awning coming down. I don't know if you've seen it. Over here in number 3, 14 Church Street South. So you're familiar with the dive bar through their economic development grant recently. So activating that space is super exciting with a new purpose. Over here back on Union Street, 16 Union Street South. So this is the Gianni's building. This building has a lot of opportunity. So they're open to possibilities. If you remember, this building was purchased by LMG when they purchased the city building because they wanted to make sure they could protect the integrity of the building through their construction process, which they did. And so, we could see building ownership change, we could see tenant, we could see a number of things, but we have looked at some options with them and done some walkthroughs with some of the key code and fire kind of folks to make sure that they're on the right track as far as when they're communicating with potential buyers or tenants.
But they are responsible for finding a tenant for this, is that?
That is correct. It is a collective effort, and we definitely take a holistic approach to any kind of development within downtown. So working directly with the property owners to, encourage a particular use based on what we've seen as need or the market data that we've got on hand, working, with the brokers that they may be working with. If we hear just by chance of a particular restaurant that is looking, or if we see that need, we'll reach out directly. So ultimately to connect them with a broker, we are not real estate agents. But it is a collective effort ultimately it's up to the building owner to make the final decision of what goes in their building, as long as it fits within the use table for that zone. So number 5, we've got 22 Union Street, lofts, retail space, BK Pilates. This is in that ground floor of the building we were just in last week for the ribbon cutting. So this is, BK Pilates is actually opening a week from Saturday, I believe. So she's seen a great influx of initial sales. So we'll see that space activated very soon. Next to that is additional retail space in the lofts, in the Novi Lofts building on the ground floor, as well as on the rooftop. So those 2 spaces are available for tenants.
What do you hear about the rooftop?
I think people are really excited about it. I think it's just going to take the right tenant. It's not going to be your giant full-service steakhouse. You've been in it. It's not terribly large. So really just honing in on the right, maybe something like a more tapas focused, or there was a rumor about sushi for a while. Rumors are rumors. Yes.
I didn't pay attention to this. Does that floor have its own elevator access, or do you have to come in to the lobby of the apartments to get?
You can come in the front door, and we didn't do that on the ground floor that day. There is a front door access in between the two commercial spaces. There is an elevator there, so residents can access that elevator, but I would think most likely they're coming probably from the back.
So how will they keep people visiting the top from stopping on one of the residential floors? How they, do we know?
There's a separation between the lobby from the elevators on Union Street and the residents that are behind it.
So the elevator only goes to the top floor?
The one in the front, I believe, on Union Street does it, well,
I think it serves everything.
Yeah.
it serves the other floors. My guess is they've got a badging system here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
This may be getting into the weeds a little bit, but having come out of the restaurant business, is a restaurant really gonna make it up there? Is it really gonna be, it doesn't seem like it's set up, just my opinion.
It's not a restaurant.
What kind of restaurant's gonna go up there? I know you don't know the answer, but it's gonna be a challenge.
I mean, yeah, it would definitely have to be a smaller, your small plates. You're not getting a full, to your point, you're not getting a full, big kitchen in there cooking steaks and.
Great meeting.
Special event.
Yeah, I mean, it would make, we've seen yeah.
At one point, there was conversation about linking that to Gianni's and doing food up and down.
I think that was probably a conversation with the downstairs, not Gianni's, but the ground floor space. So that's always an opportunity, but it would take like a similar either partnership or a same ownership between that. The one ground floor space that's still vacant and the upstairs, that would take some partnership there. Or a dual concept kind of yeah. Kind of moving south down Union Street, we get to 30 Union Street South. So that building has opportunity. LMG owns that building. They have some availability since they're moving their offices. They've had their leasing their regional office in there. So there's opportunity with this space. It used to be a yoga space. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. So again, working kind of holistically, working with our partners, some of which are in the building, to see what opportunities are there. And for potential tenants. 35 Union Street, this is where Pucker Up was. That's vacant currently, so seeking tenants for that space. That could, we don't know what that will be yet. 37 Union Street South, so this is the Lafredo's Cabo building. So this is a really large building. It is under contract. There's 2 ground floor commercial spaces as it is now, and then upper office. So this is a really great building to activate. So we'll kind of keep you guys in the loop as we are able to share more information about that.
You say under contract, you mean the building has been sold, but no tenant has
The,
been identified?
the building is under contract to be sold. They haven't closed yet.
But no idea what will go in there.
Not at liberty to say. There is, with that particular ownership, they do have an idea in mind of what will go in there. And it's great. 42 Union Street South, just sold. We just, buyer, he just left. So Justin Mueller just purchased this building with some business partners. So pending construction, there's the potential for 2 ground floor retail commercial spaces and then upper office in this building as well. 35 Market Street, this is on that back side. If you remember where Market Street Studios used to be, Garrett and his business, that will be Mercantile on Market and will be opening soon. I believe they just, their grand opening date is in April. It's more of a vendor style market, but there's also some fresh items, fresh produce, and she'll have some kind of take and eat items as well. So another quick grab and go option. And then she does have vendors in there, so that vendor style concept that we see a lot that kind of helps them rotate merchandise and what their offerings are. And then over in the Novi Rise building, Salon Lofts is going in that space. Plans have been approved, and I believe construction should be starting soon. And then there's that small building that Kaufman Lynn occupied for their offices for quite a while. That's on Spring Street. That building, Serenity is going to be moving into that building, which is a good location, better than kind of their lower level space that they're in now. Moving down the way, 48 Union Street, Charos is coming into that space. We're excited to welcome them.
When are they open?
Soon. Thank you. Yes, soon. That's really the only answer I have. I can't really. Yeah, don't pigeonhole us into these dates. 56 Union Street, this is seeking a new tenant. The restaurant plans are approved, so this is where Sawmill was planning on going. So this is one that we see kind of collectively as a team as a real opportunity. The plans are already there. It's primed and ready to go to be a restaurant. So hitting it from all angles. Got our people in the room that know people. If you know anybody, let's pull together. It's a really, having the plans already done is a real enticing piece to this.
What happened to the previous?
I don't know the details. Just kind of strapped himself a little too tight. Yeah. The location, the space, all of it. It's just perfect. 2 Scoops is opening on Saturday. That one I got for you, Andy. Unless they change. Unless they change their mind. I asked Cherie that yesterday if she knew. I don't know. 11? We'll put it out on social media. Follow us on social media. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Which is another good selling piece. They've got sewer, all those things. Moving down the way to Bar Brick, 810 Bar Brick. So this is in the old annex building. So the Cravers own this property as well. We have Stephen Tice is the broker for this property, working hard to make some things happen. It's a really great space coming off of the county parking garage right next to 2 Scoops. I think we'll see some movement here.
I apologize. Is the bottom floor now open? Did all the nonprofits?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What? In that case, it's closed out. Yep. That's right. Yeah.
Got that taken care of. And then 25 Bar Brick, so next to, in that other retail commercial space down on the ground floor of Novi Flats, takes my brain a minute, is My Dentaville, and they are under construction currently. 74 Spring Street is where we just had the grand opening for Restoration Market. And 82 Spring Street is Borenquin Kombucha. So if you're into kombucha, they will have a tap room in addition to their manufacturing of kombucha. And then kind of taking us back to where we started to 22 Union Street North, Kristen and Tristan, the property owners, are here with us today, and they have given us opportunity to give you a sneak peek. So don't get your phones out and take any pictures. But this is a sneak peek of what they're planning for this building. Plans have been in, and they're getting started on construction currently. So we're really excited. This is a multi-tenant, about a 20-tenant use of space between the 2 floors. So I'll kind of walk you through. This is a very open feeling. Walk in, visit all the tenants. You'll see that they're opening up that second floor where it used to be a theater, and then it was a floor was built over top to make an entire second floor. They're opening that back up, which will really increase that light, the light coming in from those windows above. A lot of common space, opportunities for people to mix and mingle in addition to retailers. Second floor space, there'll be units up there as well as kind of a second anchor tenant, if you will, over here. So I believe, and we've got some other renderings of what that layout looks like. So facing that way for you guys, you'll see the 2 front spaces. So those are those front windows that you see when you walk by the building. And then kind of going all the way back, and you can see some outdoor space on the back of the building. And really one of the things that I, want to point out is this is something that Kristen and Tristan really saw a need for, filling those small business retailers. They have seen through their other properties, people coming out of the retail lab that Flywheel and the Small Business Center host, and they want to come and they want to open a business, but to go to a different kind of area in Afton, something like that, they're locking themselves into a tight 10-year, very expensive lease, and that's not always feasible for some of the more unique small businesses. So they've really honed in on that and created something really, really special here. And looking at the top floor rendering, you can kind of see where you can see through. And I believe they have a few tenants already confirmed and working on some more. So thank you for letting us share that.
Thank you.
And just to highlight those businesses, we kind of hit on a bunch of them, but these are the businesses that opened in 2024. So we did have, amidst the dirt and the construction, still saw a good influx of some new businesses, and then have opened or are opening. Yes, sir. Sure. And then these folks. So Cannon Honey Mill is open, but they are they're kind of waiting on some additional things. They were going to be offering some mead, so they're waiting on their ABC license. And like I said, 2 Scoops Saturday. And then there's a couple others. Continue to follow those social media accounts because there's some more that are opening here in the next few weeks. So another kind of moving into that development conversation, residential. So what does that look like right now? Right now that looks like Flats is at 46% occupancy, Rise is at 6%, and Novi Lofts is not leasing yet, getting their CO currently. There are some agreements that they have in place, so they are trying to work with some of the larger corporations in the area or businesses, like Eli Lilly. HR is promoting to their folks moving to the area, so that's an opportunity for them to increase residential occupancy. And then Atrium has a lot of folks that they bring in as part of that contracted nurse schedule, things like that. So they have an agreement to provide 72 to 90 units for traveling and visa nurses. So that's really a great partnership.
So those are rented to Atrium now?
I don't know when the agreement starts.
The agreement is in place, and it's a tiered, as to the nurses, as they ramp up. It won't be 90 coming overnight. It'll be as it ramps up.
As they kind of.
For itinerant nurses, travel nurses, it's basically.
Yep, and visa nurses.
Long term.
International program that they're doing there.
Residents of Concord.
They're not current, but I think that they will be in long term.
And that also, I will say, goes back to part of that marketing piece, part of that storytelling. I want to definitely highlight Cherie has done a phenomenal job of making sure that the Novi leasing agents have in hand flyers of things that are going on when there's pop-up markets, when there's kind of retail days, when there's a fresh market at the Lens Studio, making sure that that is in the hands of these leasing agents and they're putting them in mailboxes, because if people are going to live in these apartments, they're living here for that lifestyle, and we want to make sure that that's delivered. So that's something really honing in on streamlining that process a little bit, and making sure that they're just kind of have that on their regular rotation of getting that information out. But that's part of that storytelling.
Can I ask a question about the new businesses that are down here? I'm thrilled that they're here, but something that kind of jumps out to me, if you go back to that list of businesses, we've got Mercantile on Market, and we've got this restoration market, and then we've got 2 other markets, Palmetto Market and 94. We've got a lot of markets.
And a lot of lofts.
And a lot of lofts.
Markets and lofts.
I mean, is there any, are we doing anything, is it our place to do anything to seek out and attract I'm counting correctly, like 5 pizza shops or Italian food shops on Union
Yeah.
Street. And it seems like to me, while I'm grateful to have them, and I'm not looking that gift horse in the mouth, it seems like we've got a lot of the same thing again.
My hope would be that the markets diversify and you're not looking at the same product in each. I mean, because if I walk into Palmetto Market, it feels very different than walking into Market 94. There's a lot of different variety of things to buy, so that is a good thing. Sometimes we get in front of a business that hasn't actually created their name yet, and that's an opportunity. I just had a conversation with someone who was looking at that mercantile market, and they went in a different direction because they came to us early enough. Because some of these hadn't been announced yet. Mercantile market hadn't been, announced yet, and so it does. Sometimes it's already happened. Some of it's a naming, and then also like, what are you offering? So if we can get in front of them early enough, I mean, if we get somebody that says, I have the best pizza in the world, and we're kind of like, we kind of already got pizza covered. Like, are you sure? And they're like, no, I'm telling you, it's the best. I'm coming, and they come. Like, we can't tell them no.
Right, exactly. I understand.
Yeah.
If the owner of the building is willing to lease and all that, that's not our place to get in that. I get that, but I'm just questioning if we have some type of marketing plan that says we want, 2 pizza shops and 2 markets and Steve, you're gonna love it when I say a spa and all that. If we kind of say this is what we're looking for. Are we forward looking for those people, or are we just waiting on the phone to ring and hoping that it's what would be correct?
That's where our relationships with the people making the decisions is really valuable. So over the past 2 years, and Steve has great relationships because of his tenure here. And so, but again, staff, us building those relationships with the property owners, we've spent a lot of time trying to get in front of the property owners, meet them, so that they know that we have resources. We have market studies. It's on our website under business resources. Main Street put together a really great market analysis that shows leakage and surplus. And some of it needs a little bit of talking through, because if you look at it and it says, well, retail, you've got so much retail because 15-minute drive away, you've got Concord Mills. We know that in downtown Concord, we could use probably a dress shop kind of retail. So there's some qualitative, conversation that can happen around that. But building upon those relationships so that we are on the front end of those conversations, that this is really what we need. Steve's really great about picking up the phone and calling. I'll, pick up the phone and say, hey, are you sure that's really the direction you want to go? We really need to focus on making sure that the ground floors are activated with X, Y, Z. And that relationship, having that good relationship is what helps. For sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's where we hope to have those conversations on the front end. Luckily, we do have really good key players. So the folks sitting in the room understand what they want downtown to look like and have that vested interest. So, I bet, Stephen, you would say if you wanted to, you could have all the ground floor spaces leased, but who would they go to? Maybe lawyers, offices? Yeah. So working with people like Stephen to make, we're kind of all on the same page of what the best use of spaces is really our best asset. And sometimes it's easier than others. And sometimes we're a little bit on the back end, and that can be hard, because we're like, gosh, if you had just called me earlier, I could have told you that we have 8 markets and 12 lofts. And this is another tool that we have. I kind of mentioned the market data piece. So there's some information on our website that you can look at in addition to the available properties that are listed there. And again, sometimes that takes reminding these property owners, hey, we're here to put that information out for you. Some are really good about sending it as soon as they have it so we can get it on the website, and others aren't. But tapping into that data analytics, looking at the tool Placer.ai, which Parks and Rec has been using for a little bit now, and we've tapped into a little bit with them, but looking at a shared cost for that in the next budget, because there's a lot of opportunity that we can use for recruitment, retail information, and events and entertainment. For recruitment, we can look and see that there's, a too much of a similar market. That's not really doesn't make a lot of sense here. They can look at that in their site selection reporting. Retail, we can analyze trends of where people are coming from, the hours that they're coming. So when we feel like we need to encourage businesses and retailers to stay open a little bit longer and not close at 4 or 5, we've got data to back that up. We can look at it for events and entertainment, which you've already seen us do a little bit when we've reported some of the numbers of people coming. We can track those zip code analysis and see where they're coming from. So that's how we can also track that marketing data. Again, events. We've got a lot of events that already happen in downtown. I won't read through them all. There's a couple, and this is a collective effort. These events happen. It's not just the downtown office putting these events on. There are 5Ks that happen. There are, additional Parks and Rec events. Parks and Rec helps a lot with facilitating a lot of these events, public affairs. So this is what's currently happening, and then what can we look at through those committees to activate some additional ways. So is there an opportunity to activate a farmer's market, maybe on Bar Brick, where we're not taking up all of Union Street, but on Bar Brick on Saturdays in certain warmer months? Is there an opportunity for some of the shopping events to be kind of expanded a little bit? Some of the merchants have been really great about putting those together. So now let's let CDC committees really help them with that lift and help incorporate more. What does that look like as far as, music concerts and activating means in Courthouse Plaza? Looking at, structurally, what does that look like? How many events does that look like closing Union Street? How many times, are we closing Union Street? Looking at all those things, the cost of, okay, well, if we do want to activate through having, a select number of concerts, because we have seen that is a desire, building up the arts, building up things to do. Cost-wise, what does that look like? And so there's still some more work to do there, but anything to add? Because I'm going to let Steve kind of roll into this next one, but yeah. So Steve's going to, yes.
One question. On the downtown events, they may be on Martin Street, they may be downtown on Union Street.
Most of these events are on Union Street, and it's now that we're open, the events will take place. There may be an opportunity to overflow. If it's a smaller thing like the farmer's market, because you don't want to shut down Union Street all the time. It takes a lot of manpower. It aggravates some people. But as far as, Art Walk, back on Union, really activating that and hoping to activate the shops that goes along with that.
The one that really catches my eye on there is the grand opening. Are you going to talk to that?
Oh, I can. I didn't have a slide, but I would be more than happy to real quick before you.
I'd love to.
Okay, sure.
To hear about this.
Yeah, so Sheree's been working with, we've been working with a couple different vendors to get some samples, and we didn't get them quite yet, but really looking at the 3 buckets of downtown. So we want to have this big block party. We want to have this big celebration. We've all, they've made it through, and we want to celebrate them and get people downtown. So, but we want that to be, Art Walk, we have a wonderful collaboration with the Arts Council, and we bring artists in. We want this to focus on the businesses that are here. And so food, retail, drinks, that's kind of those main entertainment buckets. So for food, really asking the businesses, hey, come up with one item that is kind of a signature for your type of food that can be walked around and eaten. We're going to provide you with some branded to-go type of, street food type of containers. So you're highlighting your area. If you're Havana, maybe you have some delicious plantains. If you're, just based on the different business, hot dogs is hot dogs, or pretzels, yum. Drinks, looking at, can we provide the businesses with a set of reusable social district cups that are branded? So the first X number of people in get that branded social district cup that they can keep. So that kind of activates that social district, the bars, beverage type of establishments. And then with retail, providing them with X number of tote bags that are branded that they can have for their, hey, come, the first certain customers get a free tote bag. So really activating those 3 things. People can have their furniture out on the sidewalks. We will have music, a band. We're looking at alternating between events, like where does that stage line up, because we are so linear. So having the stage for Art Walk is going to be by the library. So for the block party, down by the courthouse end. Lots of games, street games, sidewalk games, really encouraging the businesses to come outside, have your patio furniture out, engage with the community. So a lot of different, just be outside, have fun, enjoy the food, enjoy the drinks, enjoy shopping, and take advantage of what we have to offer, not bringing in breweries, not bringing in food trucks, that kind of thing, to really get people in the businesses.
Well, some of the feedback that I've received about that, after the merchant meeting, I think it was said it was May 3rd and it was from 11 to 4. And if you look at the calendar, May 3rd is a spring day, probably 11 to 4, people are out mowing grass, getting their yards kind of cleaned up, kids have t-ball or whatever. Some have expressed a concern to me, and I have to share it, that is such a short window of time that likely the grandness that this grand opening needs to be would not maybe be there.
Okay.
And that maybe it needs to extend well into the evening with a street dance or food trucks, because people do like food trucks, and it does bring in lots of people. And that anything that we can do at this moment in time to bring lots of people downtown is really where we need to concentrate our efforts. And this is just, again, some of this is my own personal opinion, and some of it's what others have shared with me. And again, I tend to agree that I think cutting this off from 11 to 4 really chops our nightlife off that day. Basically, we don't have a nightlife that day. Doesn't allow a certain sector of people to come in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're open to change. Yeah.
You know, and so I know, I mentioned to you something about some of the bigger named bands, and that you definitely would have a sponsor for that. Mm-hmm. And because those bands sell out, and they bring people to wherever they are, they bring a lot of people. And what we really need to do is bring a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And we also, the other side of that is we indebted our taxpayers $11 million. This was a huge project with a lot of negativity around it, as you and I very well know. I just feel like making this the grandest of grand that we possibly can is what our merchants deserve. Yeah. It's what our community deserves. It's definitely what our taxpayers deserve. In some of those conversations, people had said to me, if this were the next weekend, which is Mother's Day weekend, it would be such an opportunity for the merchants to really roll out what they have to offer for Mother's Day shopping. The restaurants could do their thing, and yeah, you got food trucks too, and if food truck's too expensive or the line's too long, you go to Chopbox or Havana, wherever. I think there's an opportunity on that big of a day for everybody to benefit. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe we have a street dance with a big name band, and you know my favorite, I've told you that. Might not be everybody's favorite, but they're available that day. I've already found that out. That would bring so many people into downtown to show off what we've done, have an opportunity to change our narrative, and just really do that one event upright to where it's even bigger or as big as the tree lighting and the candy crawl. Think of the people that that brings in.
Let me ask a question. Is your board engaged with this opening day? So it's a collaborative of all the people downtown?
Yeah.
As I agree with most of what Maria just said, it needs to be a big deal.
Yeah. I think extending it, I mean, no problem with that.
Could we
And
consider the next weekend? Is it too late to consider?
no, we can consider anything. My only thought was they wouldn't want to do it on Mother's Day weekend. There's already a shopping event planned for the 3rd by some of the retailers that was enticing Mother's Day shopping.
But what about the next weekend? I mean, is there anything wrong with it, having 2 weekends of full house shopping and people?
No, I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything conflicting. We try to look at like, just other big events in the community. The right, ZMAX is the weekend before, so that's the April 26th. That's why we didn't really want to do that weekend. May 3rd opened up because of Jiggy with the Piggy not happening. So a lot of things don't get planned on that weekend because of Jiggy with the Piggy, so that's why we kind of went with that. But we're not, I mean, I don't have a,
Well, yeah, cause the piggy was the one that's gone.
yeah.
It's on the Harrisburg.
Yeah, so this is a good, that's a good weekend to use.
Well, if we could get a big draw on Saturday night.
Yeah, and we can look at having two bands. We can have an afternoon band and an evening band. Yeah, I mean, there's no,
I mean, I love too much Sylvia and I,
Mhm.
they've got a Concord connection, and they're good friends of mine. They've done some events for me privately. I know they're available that weekend.
The Avett brothers are not.
Yeah, they're probably out of my budget. But as far as that private sponsorship you were talking about up there earlier, I'm definitely willing
Yeah.
to sponsor them.
Mhm.
And pay that bill. I did ask, and I hope I didn't, go outside of what I'm allowed to do, but I did ask, are you available on that weekend? May 3rd
Yeah.
was the weekend I asked, and Rick said, no, they're available. The next weekend, he gave me a price to do it, and I said, well, if, it's not up to me, but if it, I would definitely pay that. He also has access to other bands. He's not the only band in the world. And so there might be another opportunity
Mhm.
for someone equally with the same kind of draw for
Mhm.
that Saturday night on May 3rd.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for private investment there, I would sponsor that and pay for them.
Thank you.
May 10th is when they're available, yeah. And that does kind of line up with the Mother's Day.
Yeah,
But I think it'd be important, before we change any dates, is for you to get back to merchants to see
Mhm.
what their thoughts are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, we can do a poll.
Yeah,
Mhm.
let's put it back to Paige and her team.
Yes.
I know in the past, pre-COVID, we did not want food trucks collaborating or competing against the restaurants. I think that whole landscape has changed to where, as Laura had said, if you do not want to go to one of the merchants that serve food downtown, you can go to a food truck, and then vice versa. I think it could be a partnership.
And I think when there's a lot of people at an event, there's a need for food trucks
There
because
is.
you just don't have enough
That's right.
food. Like you can't, the restaurants can't handle that influx of people. So but like, a regular Saturday night
Maybe different.
is a little different. But yeah, when there's an event, and that's one of the justifications. If you've got, thousands of people at an event, you've got to have a way to feed them all. If you've got just the
Anything
regular.
that will bring people down here, I mean, if we need a clown, whatever,
Not the
bring
monkey.
people down
Let's
here.
leave that for the, let's leave the monkey for the other events.
Whatever, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we kind of we thought we were already pushing it by going all the way to May 3rd, so we didn't want to.
Bill's gonna be the,
So, but I just think we have one major event to open up
Mhm.
downtown, and I do like the idea of extending it out to the evening.
Mhm.
Not 2 weeks in a row, but
Right.
an event.
Right.
one big.
Yeah.
You get one chance to open it up first.
That's right.
And we did discuss the opportunity too to have a ribbon cutting beforehand, which I think would be important. They're outside doing the compass right now, and as soon as we can get those temporary light poles removed, I do think there is something valuable about having a ceremonial dedication, and we can invite the businesses to come out. We could probably hold up traffic for a minute.
Do that Saturday morning?
I think we do it earlier, is kind of what I was thinking, because you don't want people to think we're waiting, oh, grand opening. Well, I don't know. I feel like the businesses might enjoy having some sort of ceremonial,
Well, I would like you to
I don't know.
contact us.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, I'll put a survey out.
Do you want me to ask Rick to hold that spot for a few more days?
Sure.
I mean, that's up to you, but.
is this something that Paige, or that council wanted Paige to get back to them by the March meeting, or do you want her just to get this information to the city manager to distribute to everybody? Because I know we're 2 months away now from the date.
You got all your staff, you got to deal
Yeah, there's a lot of coordination that's got
I'd
to
like
occur.
to make sure there's not something we're missing, and that would just screw up the world.
So if
Yeah,
Paige can
yeah.
sometime within the next,
She's got a concert on the 10th that evening. So we just need to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
There's so many
We don't
moving
need
parts.
No.
That's why you gotta be the coordinator.
There's gonna be weddings at Hotel Concord every night, which we can work, and we're really good, you know, we try to work with, especially like on the North Block, because you've got two venues right there, and Hotel Concord gets more of the sound than, their biggest challenge probably is parking, but, you know, we can help them work with the church or other things. Because there will be, both weekends, there's gonna be weddings in the evening, but having the stage at the other end, especially if we're going into the evening, down near, closer to Two Gals, is really helpful for that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't wanna mess up Liz's.
Not, no, yes, correct. You're right.
We have to consider.
Yeah. Yeah, and two, I mean, one of the things that's really hard for us is trying to get a big name that also spreads the gamut of what people like. That's a really hard thing to get, to figure out what everyone likes. Not everyone likes David Brothers, not everyone likes this, you know. So where are we, you know, gonna meet, you know?
Well, you do a variety over time.
Yeah,
But on that grandest of openings, having.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You know, you have that Concord connection, whatever you can bring, I mean, you know, top it off with some fireworks, I think it would be fantastic.
And this is personal, when you talk about closing off Union Street, I'm sure it depends, but you're talking about the library and the church all the way down to St.
typically. Sometimes, you know, we didn't do that for tree lighting because that North Block was still a little bit under construction, and the businesses down on that North Block felt a little bit removed
Yes.
from the event. So while,
Good.
yeah, so it kind of helps when we do the whole thing.
So, Paige, would the plan be if we did have some type of live music downtown? I know you're talking about setting up a stage at the north end or the south. Are we going to use any of that plaza at the courthouse? Would that kind of be a standard spot, or would you think?
I think it changes based on the event, because I think, you know, with Art Walk, you know, you've got vendors all throughout. But I think, you know, it's also something we really need to look at the setup, because you can't have too many people and things in that space because it is an emergency access to the building. So that's what we really have to sit down probably with either Ian or the county and look at what they're okay with. Are they okay with just having, if I just brought my fold-out chair and we got to get up and run, we're out of there. So just looking at those details, but we have opportunities. We have opportunities to be on, you know, different ends of town. We have opportunities to be there, and then opportunities for small things where, you know, maybe there's an opportunity to have kind of a busking type of thing where we actually, you know, it's not busking because we hire them, but kind of put like busking is like the people that just play on the side of the street. So, and there's a couple communities, or one community in particular, that has like a big busking, like, I think, festival kind of thing. But we could just do kind of like on particular nights, we could maybe have one down closer to the south end, one in the middle, one up north, and they're just kind of doing their thing. And then you're not, you know, it's just it's an added ambiance. People are enjoying the social district. They're enjoying people's patios. That's something we can kind of insert into, you know, with our budget willing.
Let's leave it in your capable hands, city staff, to sort of take what we've been throwing out here.
Sure.
And make it happen.
We look forward to doing that. We appreciate your feedback.
When council says into the night, a night scene type thing, what hour were you
3 in the
thinking?
morning is too late.
Okay, so 2:30? Yeah, 1? Yeah.
Right, perfect. Till the cops get called.
So 9 o'clock?
Yes, we would.
Yeah, I mean, if we have a lot of businesses that say, look, I'm gonna close at 5 anyways, I don't have the staffing to run it, or that's a typical day we're closed, I mean, that will present some logistical challenges, so.
That's why you got to go.
Yeah, go to the merchants and.
Mhm.
Into their schedule.
And they may not want to do that,
Sure.
but I don't think that would impact us doing something still in the evening,
Yeah.
especially if it's good music.
So,
We'll poll.
Paige,
sounds good.
thank you very, very much for all your time.
Thank you, guys.
For what you've been doing
Appreciate
for the
it.
past 3 years.
2.5. Who's counting? Feels like 12. Turn it over to Steve. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so this is one slide that we could do a presentation on by itself, but it's one slide to discuss with you, gauge your interest. So one of the things that we have recognized for many years is that downtown does not have an anchor. Our neighbors over in Kannapolis, they've got a ballpark. They now have the Swanee, and they've got the gym, and they're budgeting for a cultural arts center. So they've got 3 built in. We don't have room for a ballpark. We're confined with our space. So we recognize that the Davis Theater's been underutilized. And this goes back to Noel Scott. And we've had internal discussions about increasing that, but the time hasn't been right. And we knew going into Streetscape, it definitely wasn't right. So coming out of Streetscape, Josh, myself, and Paige, and Liz, and her programming director, we've been meeting for several months and looking at what are some of the best practices, what would it take to enhance the Davis Theater performances to become an anchor, a real draw in downtown. So that's what this slide is. So we know, and this is based on arts and economic prosperity studies, that when someone comes, they typically spend a little more than $31 when they come to a theater. And most people I know, including myself, we usually try to do the same. So if we're coming down, we want to eat at a restaurant, or after, we'll go out and have a drink, before we go home. So either before or after. Right now, there's 15 performances a year, and it averages about 170 people per show. So there's a definite economic impact, but it's minimal. So I want to throw out to you, if it was increased, and this is high level right now, we've got a lot of notes. Like I said, I can do a whole presentation on it. Liz and I and Josh do a whole presentation on this, just to gauge your interest. So if you went to 150 performances a year, and remember the economic impact that is generated from this, it could draw over 25,000 visitors. But there's a cost. Liz has analyzed, and it's never a break even. It's not a large enough venue. We can't break even. But there's other factors that are at play beyond just the ticket sales and drink sales and those type things. But for 150 performances, it was estimated that if the city contributed $305,000, we could get that 150. If we did 75 shows, year one, and evaluate, we're looking at 152,000. Like I said, we can do a whole nother presentation just showing you how those numbers work. What does it mean? How much revenue? How many people? What do they do? We've got all that, but I didn't want to go into that today. It's a high level. So, but it would cover the positions to staff it, to fund it, to market it, to security, the janitorial, everything that goes into that. And like I said, the goal would be to energize it to be our true anchor in downtown. And that's the driver. So it's a very broad question at this point. Are you interested in, as a council, as a board, in looking at this further and diving into it? It is not budgeted. We didn't miss it. We were, at one time, this presentation was December, and then it got moved January, so then we got put, February is not in the budget. Doesn't mean it cannot be added to the budget, but we want to just get your thoughts on it.
So, by 75 shows every week, plus you have something innovative.
Right. Yeah, a good example, Swanee did, I think Saturday, they had a comedian. There's so much variety that could be held at the Davis that's not currently. It's just enormous. The amount, the options and the opportunities. And that's something else. I mean, we can give you a full breakdown. Liz has got, her and her team's got so many thoughts on who and how and, the diversification of the acts and the performances, so it's not always the same market.
Could part of that be, and I'm remembering years ago when we did have like the TAMs and all those bands that were constantly in the summertime, it was like one every week or every 2 weeks. Didn't the Arts Council have a big part of putting that together?
Yeah.
I think that was before your time, Liz, but
I think
didn't
that,
they do a large part
I think that it was mainly CDC back then, but it was on the Arts Council on. And the Arts Council would always open up and, yeah, yeah. Yep, yeah. Music on Means, that's right. Yeah, and,
Could
yep.
that be part of this increase in shows for them? Or are you just thinking, oh, sit down?
This is just energizing the Davis. But now, I will say there's a tie-in, and something that Liz and I and Josh and Paige, we've all talked about, and you hit on a minute ago, and that's Means, or Courthouse Plaza, Means
Right.
Plaza, whatever you want to call it. There's opportunities for vendors to set up there before shows also. So there's other energy that can come from it beyond just a show and then people going out, to a restaurant.
Outside music, it doesn't seem to matter what kind it is, people will come. It's amazing. You can go, it doesn't matter where you go. If there's music outside, there's people there.
Right, yep.
And are
So
we
that's
looking
why
at,
I was asking.
so are we looking at going back pre-COVID where we had a dinner and show package? That helped out a lot of the restaurants there.
Yes,
You have dinner and a show, it's combined, so you're pulling everybody together as one.
yes, sir. For
So
sure.
right today, all you're doing is presenting this as to get us to think about it.
Yes, if you're interested in a more detailed report on this, we can prepare it. If it's something that you're just not interested in, we just don't want to go there.
Steve, I'm sure you remember this BFI show that sat 8 years ago. That was one of the recommendations. We got into LNG.
It was.
I would have to ask, it's 4 a week, if you do one every week, is that like 2 on Friday night, 2 on Saturday, or is that, are we not far enough along to know?
It's good.
If you're doing 150 performances, we're looking at activating it 3 nights,
3 nights.
right? So, that could be, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday matinee. We just did a market study, and, Saturday and Sunday matinees came out stronger than Wednesday or Thursday night, so I think we could do a mix of those pieces. And I think also, weather dependent, having things outside on the lawn versus inside, there could be a lot of flexibility with that. There's an additional cost when you're having to set up staging outside versus we've already got the theater inside, so those pieces are there. And we're already working with downtown businesses. This past weekend, we partnered with Havana, so we're doing what we call Nourish the Arts. So they're providing the meals for the artists, and we're publishing in all of our marketing, go to Havana for dinner before coming out. So I think absolutely those kind of partnerships are really important too.
I would suggest that we get this study you're talking about more in depth, and then probably graduate into it. I don't know if I'd go from 15 to 150. I think I probably want to see a few months to see how you rebound now that the streetscape is almost finished. I don't think you've been averaging 170
No,
during streetscape, have you, Liz?
yeah, this is based on when the master plan was originally done. I would say, cost-wise, our costs have probably gone up about 10% from based on this. As you all know, staffing costs are increasing, and that's a lot of what this is. The other piece I would say is right now, our average attendance is about 120 for the Davis Theater. It's been really depressed because of the streetscape. So I would expect that we're gonna get that up to the.
So tell us exactly what you want us to come back to you with.
But I think the number one, are you interested in participating to increase by some level performances at the Davis? And then,
I would like to, I'm absolutely supportive of this and say 75 shows, but I'd also like doing some stuff outside. So it's not all just inside, but during the spring, fall, summer,
And-
to occasionally do something and work that into the total package. But I would just love this.
Well, and the other thing too is what happens if you have an outside event that's ticketed with a $25 ticket, which, I mean, I keep going back to the same band because I'm kind of a groupie. And I know that Friday night they sold tickets for $15 a piece and they totally sold out. So if you take that larger number of people at one time, that would reduce the number of shows you would have to have because you're only able to have max 170 in the Davis at a time.
The auditorium is 227.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going by this
Well, that's-
170
That's our
people
average.
per. Oh, okay, I beg your pardon. Okay, but still, you might be able to have lesser shows if you had some that were bigger
Yeah.
and give you the same
Ticketing
benefit.
for outside, we don't have a corralled area.
Okay,
So doing ticketing for outdoor events
Might
would
be
be really
difficult.
hard for our space.
Okay.
But building it as those are free events to the community could be part of how we approach this budget.
You've got the information, I think the council is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, just to,
More, so.
okay, so just to make sure, somewhere between the 15 up to the 75 in that range right now, increasing. Is that,
And this would come out of the general fund budget?
yes, ma'am? I would assume.
I said 180 or 75. It's a huge jump.
May impact other things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think getting us some more.
Okay, okay, yep, but the,
Probably another opportunity for a couple of years to play with this.
Okay,
so,
you got what you need or not?
yes, sir. Well, there's more to the presentation here.
Well, we're sort of
Okay.
getting.
You want to keep going, or you want to stop?
How much more time is?
Just a few slides.
Go for it.
One, we've got one more, we need some input, and then, Chief Hughes was going to give you, I think he had asked for statistics on, crime in downtown, so he's got that at the end. I think there's just a few more slides. If, it's up to y'all, we can come back.
Bill, I gotta go, so y'all do whatever you wanna do. I gotta go to work.
Steve,
Yeah.
and maybe I misunderstood some of these, I have some specific concerns I'd like to voice about the streetscape, so I'm willing to stay here. But whatever we wanna do, we wanna come back.
Well, can everybody stay a lot longer besides
Yes.
Jennifer? I understand, because
Yeah.
you've been working a lot.
6:30.
Okay.
And if there's something you need, Bill, from me, just.
So, so we're
Make some
skipping the
big
next,
Decisions now that you've left.
You got a majority.
Yes.
we're skipping the next slide, because that was, parking, but we already covered it. We didn't know which presentation was going first.
All right, so I'll go quick since we're running short on time. Wanted to bring something back to you all that was in the downtown master plan. Obviously sensitive subject, but talking about streetscape phasing, the question had come up when we were in that master planning process of what does it look like once Union Street's done? So it's been a while since we've revisited this. It was about 2020, 2021. And the map you're seeing here with the phases all built out is what we were thinking would make sense just based on the other development that was happening. So staff had put this together, and then benchmark planning with the master plan included this map. Looking at a high level of the next after streetscape would be Market Street, Barbrick. We really ended up getting most of Barbrick done with the streetscape for Union. And then also Means Avenue, which is a little bit also building on Parks and Recs plans for the McEachern Greenway. After that, kind of looking at Church Street, Cabarrus Avenue East, and then focusing on Spring Street and Cabarrus Avenue West. McEachern is pretty well complete, but this is going to be a long process of going through updates. So looking at phase 4 there, and then Corbin if there's more development happening there, and kind of just really basing the phasing off of what we're seeing where the growth is, especially looking at Cabarrus Avenue East here. So our kind of couple of questions to you all. The master plan mentioned looking high level at all of these roads, and what does that sort of concept 5 to 10% design look like? Maybe a just basic site plan and a cross section of the roadway. Something that could help illustrate also if private development comes and we say, well, we're looking at widening that sidewalk, and we already have kind of a layout that is similar to the streetscape that we've already and has that kind of same color palette and the same materials and some of those factors. So the master plan for one recommended that, like an overall, here's what all the streetscapes would look like, and then also is there interest in starting to really build these out further than that. Of course, we've been under construction with all of the projects, not just streetscape, for a while. So I guess that's kind of my first question to you guys, as you get your thoughts. moving ahead in the next 5, 10, 15 years, what this looks like.
I absolutely think we've got to do that. I don't think we have a choice.
And just adding, you know, we did, I don't think Jeff's already, or there's Jeff, a while ago, we all went through and kind of said, what is this condition of every single street? Of course, this is very rough, but I think Jeff can concur that almost all the water lines need to be replaced on most of the roads. I think the sewer's in good shape, but there's somewhere they need to be lined. So there is infrastructure driving this. It's not just, it wouldn't be as major as removing all of the on-street parking and widening to 22 feet, I don't think, on every street. It's more building in that infrastructure update that needs to be done, as well as just improving the sidewalk conditions. Bury the electrical. If we're looking at Cabarrus Avenue East, especially if we're talking about, which is kind of the next conversation, expanding the MSD, and with the new development projects you guys are aware of, Southern Strain, if that's where the growth is happening, I think that's where the electrical is still above, so we would have that conversation about what that looks like. Yeah, once you get kind of beyond McCatcher, I think. I understand.
Yeah, I would think that sort of we're behind the scenes to get us some idea of what we're talking
Okay.
about. We
And-
will be, I mean, future councils will be looking at doing this.
Yes.
But we're not ready to jump today, but we sure would like to have information.
Okay. I think certainly we can work with staff as far as that concept level. And then, so yeah, this was just pulled from the master plan, and this is an idea of like a cross-section. You could sort of start thinking through the process for each of the streets. The next one that I have.
Just one quick question.
Sure.
When you say Means Avenue, is that just for?
That's the little piece between Church and McCatchern. So this is where the Parks and Rec plan kind of comes in. They were thinking of, you know, expanding one side. Maybe you would lose a few of those parking spaces to make one side of the street a little wider to kind of have that greenway feed into the plaza. And then the next one, there was a question of expanding the downtown footprint, like I mentioned. So if we do start seeing that growth, is council, on Cabarrus Avenue East, is council interested in us having conversations with property owners about expanding the MSD?
I think from what I see is when we have 400+ apartments
Right.
in the works coming 2 blocks down
Mhm.
from McCatcher,
I know, I say I'm wrong.
then that's something that we should be looking at.
Absolutely.
So there's interest there. And I think, yeah, obviously that would extend that same conversation if we start seeing development in other areas adjacent to the MSD would be relevant. But right now, we're seeing most of the interest on that Cabarrus Avenue East. Trying to go pretty quick through these, so I'll just go ahead and move on. Steve, do you want to touch on the grants?
Yeah, so this is just a quick high level again. We've had the Center City and MSD grants for about 12 years. They have been effective. Council has awarded several, including last month. We just want to ask, while we're asking, are you still comfortable with these grants? Any need to change? Okay, that was an easy one. The facade grant, we do have $50,000 in the budget again this year. We have told the downtown property owners that we did not know how much longer it would continue. So that's good. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
So that's good. We just wanted, we just wanted a pulse check.
I think for the immediate future, we don't want to put stress on and change things. We want to make sure that we keep pushing forward.
Good.
To make sure that the whole downtown has a chance to recover.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell you, Cassie has already worked with 5 facade improvements, and there's 10 in the works right now. We're really hoping they would do it during Streetscape, but they're really interested now, so it is having an effect.
Ice cream store downtown. Like to have.
They emailed and asked about it.
Yay! Thank you.
Yep. And I know this was one of the questions. Obviously, we have a public restroom at Rotary Square. The thought is to continue to seek partnerships on additional opportunities, but also, as the warmer months come, to monitor and dial in the times and the city's involvement with that restroom. So, but also look for other opportunities. And next is Chief Hughes.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir. So the map that is up is the social district map, and this is really for reference in the information that I'm getting ready to give you. And I'll get straight to the point because I know we're pressed for time. So the question was kind of how are we today versus where have we been in the past, and kind of what are we seeing? So for just number comparisons, January 1st to February 21st of 2024, we had 131 dispatched calls for service. So that's somebody calling into the police that they need assistance in this area. As compared to the same date range, 2025, we had 110. So if you kind of look at the number of times that people are calling the police in 2024 versus the number of times they're calling right now, it's a decrease. If you look at the arrest, we had 2 in 2024, we had 4 this year.
Double.
Right, which I'll tie this back in just a second. 2 to 4, that's right. And then citations went up from 39 to 55. So that's in part to Officer McClester and the others that come in from other areas of the city to help us address any issues in the downtown area, which I think also has a direct correlation into the reduction of the dispatched calls for service. So hopefully that provides some kind of hard numbers for everyone to give us an idea of where we are so far in 25.
Comments I get are very positive from people, merchants downtown, from people downtown. The presence is truly appreciated, and we like what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
And the homeless situation, how do you feel about that?
And so I talked with Matt McClester about that as well, and it's kind of following what we've seen seasonally. I think that, as the weather warms up, people may be more visible than what they have been, but I'd just like to remind everyone that we, the police, can't really track, and we, the police, aren't going to try to enforce there is no violation for being homeless in and of itself. McClester is making sure that he is monitoring the behavior, not necessarily the person.
And do you see that more businesses and entities are getting their signs done? Their no trespassing?
Yes. Yeah, and he again he is our liaison to work through that. Yes, sir. And that helps.
It does.
Summarize, Chief, do you have any concerns with this downtown district? Do you see anything that troubles you?
No, not with the social district piece, and we spoke with other cities as well, and they have not seen something. We're a little bit different in the fact that everything's coming together at the same time, the residential piece, the commercial piece, all of it is happening. But in speaking with our peers, we haven't seen anything different than what they have so far.
Good. Any other questions? Thank you for all you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, Josh?
JC had something.
Yeah, Jack. Yes.
Yes, I do, but I'm not sure who to address it to. I just have some specific concerns about the end of the streetscape. Is that you, Josh, or is that Derek, or who am I?
Sure, throw it at me and I'll pass it to Laderick. No, I'm just kidding.
Like a hot potato.
That's right.
I've got a couple of specifics, but then I've got just some real general things.
Yeah.
On the construction itself, the street, the hardscape.
Yep.
The effervescence of the brick pavers is concerning. I'm not sure, do we have a bad detail or do we have a bad install? That is very difficult to correct. Are we looking into that? Doesn't appear to be.
So, yeah, we talked about a lot of the hard finishings, and those quite a bit of that will likely be added to punch list items that we'll work with Sealand on as we wind things down. But I know Steve looked like he was eager to add to it, or Kaylee.
Yeah, because you got to mention some of those the other day when we were at the ribbon cutting. So Kaylee's also going to reach out to Pine Hall Brick and discuss with them, the supplier,
So
about that.
I guess my specific concern is it installed per the detail? Because if it is, do we have a bad detail, which is even worse? So it's very hard to fix that.
Yeah, I'll get further clarification from Pine Hall, but I do remember when they first were installing those and we started seeing it, raising the concern, and they were talking about that it's almost like an off-gassing process with the mortar and the grout and the certain just sort of kind of comes out and then washes away.
second one, just on the hardscape, is the, and I'd call it the rings around the valves, but there's quite a few of them that are way below. Some of them have been fixed, some of them haven't. What are we doing? Driving down Union Street is a dodge game to try to miss those rings that are so low.
The valves?
The valves.
The valve
Valves,
covers.
that's it, yeah, wow.
Are you talking about in the street?
Yeah, in the street.
They kind of pop up?
They're sort of down.
They're down.
Below grade.
Well, I know, I mean, Steve just said it, they have started working on some of them. I know we're still in the punch list phase, so.
But we're on top of that.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we're having to address.
Okay. And then, I like here, the electrical gives me great concern. It is not complete. And I could go some specifics that I'm really worried about, but what I'd really like to ask and recommend is that you bring the engineer of record back on the electrical and look at every component of that to make sure that it was installed in the record drawings, especially on the grounding. But they're not finished. That would be, my last question is, when will this project be finished? And that means they're gone. That means the
Because I think
contractors are gone.
Their 44 days of rain are up.
Well, yeah, they're past their construction by a couple of weeks now. Do we have, let me ask you on the electrical, do we know how many conduits they cannot get a line through right now? They're still left. Have we asked them?
They were working on just the fiber, the 144 count. I haven't gotten an update since last week. On Friday, they were still working on clearing it out. They're gonna work through the weekend. I don't know the conduit number. I do know that it's not electrical lines anymore, it's the fiber line.
So what's your question, JC? You know more about this than the rest of us.
I think the engineer of record needs to look at every component, make sure that we have gotten what we paid for. And that's all the grounding connections. There is a lot out there that would give me concern if I was over the project, a lot. And some of this stuff is very expensive. If the grounding's not correct on the poles, you could have problems 3 and 4 years out. There's just a lot of things that concern me, and now's the time to find out. It worries me that you got 2 contractors out there. That's never a good recipe to have 2 contractors, because I'm not sure who's in charge. I'm not sure who's doing what. But the other thing, there's conduits out there that have no strings in them. Do we have spares? Do we know?
We did build in some spares.
And if they're spares, if they don't have a string in them, they're not a spare. So even this, they've got to prove that all those conduits are open, or you really don't have anything. So there's just a lot of the electrical that gives me great concern. But honestly, we need to get them finished and out. This project has gone on so long, so long. I would think they'd want off the project too, but that was my specific concern.
We agree with you. Yeah, we had conversations last week about the possibility of re-engaging McGill. So we do still have a PO, open PO with them, and some funds remaining there, but re-engaging them, do they help us develop the punch list? Help with some final walkthroughs, final inspections, that type of thing. So those conversations are ongoing. Matter of fact, we'll have a collective meeting here in the very near future to discuss those finer details as we work toward project closeout, hopefully. We have had some projects in the city where punch list items go on seemingly forever. Hopefully that's not the case here.
Tell the poll people here now, is that who's out on Union Street now?
That's ALS. Yeah.
Because
And Taylor Street hasn't come down.
if they're commissioning, your electricians are putting power on those poles today. So who is commissioning those poles? If it's hell, it should be them. So there's just a lot of things going on out there with a lot of different people.
Yeah, and Taylor
Give me
Streets is gonna
great
come
concern.
down once, so we have the kiosk passed inspection this week as an update, and they're checking the power at each of the poles right now, but Cabarrus North isn't yet online, so we wanted to get all of them online before we had the Telstra come down from Michigan and do everything at once at the end. And the fiber connection too.
Back to the brick, I think I'd ask the architect of record if he agrees with what your contractor's telling you. It really looks bad, and that's hard to fix. Keep fixed. Anyway,
Yep.
those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Humored me.
They're valid.
Yeah. Okay, anybody have anything else they want to share?
I just want to say thank you
Yes.
to these guys.
Yes.
I mean, you have done above and beyond what I had hoped for. So you've answered questions, you've asked us some good questions. Well done.
Yes. It's been a challenging project. There's a lot of moving parts, but we do appreciate all that you've done and stayed on it. You, as we brought up points, you've always followed through and got the answer and keep moving this forward. It's,
So May 3rd,
Still standing.
or somewhere therein.
yeah, but you're still standing. We're not sure about us at times. Our next meeting will be March 8th for our retreat. So we have a list of items. I'll send them back out again. We're up to 84 items, so don't worry about it.
84, how long we staying?
No, it's about 12 items so far that have been, they need some,
Submitted by us?
and need to be some consolidated, but we'll get that.
When I sat down, this letter was laying here, and I
Yeah,
don't know
just-
whose it is or what
just share it.
who it's for,
Just share
what
it.
y'all want to do with it.
And we're not doing with it. Someone said, send it to me for cat council, so I said, okay.
Don't ever hand me a letter from a lawyer.
Before we adjourn, anything else? Yes. Go ahead.
When you get retreat live
Yes, I will. Correct. And I'll be heading up tomorrow to, I've got a North Carolina Legion meeting in the morning, and then I'm doing the town and state dinner tonight with, tomorrow night with our legislators. And as I'm looking, more and more keep bowing out, so it may just be Mayor Henry and I sitting there to have dinner.
But thank you for doing that. This is a critical time.
Yeah.
We normally have a crew going.
Yes, we do.
Normally that's not happening.
I wish y'all could come on.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Wait a minute, are you gonna read
Second.
this?
No, no.
Okay,
This is not,
yep,
that is not.
yeah, sounds good.
Thank y'all, good job.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, ready to vote, all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye, aye.
Thank you very much.
My telefon's frozen.
Thanks, everyone.